What do I do if I lost my chicken?
You go on the next.
You put it on the neighborhood app.
Hey, what's up, everyone? This is Jason Tucker. This is WPwatercooler, and we're on episode number 105. Today we're going to be talking about simple modifications for any WordPress theme. We're going to go around the room real quick and get everyone introduced. Let's start with Natalie.
Oh, you're starting with me?
I am.
Well, hello, everyone. I'm Natalie MacLees. I'm founder and principal of Purple Pen Productions and also the author of jQuery for Designers, which just released its second edition.
And you're doing podcasts for it, too, which is just amazing.
Every Tuesday.
That's awesome.
I wondered what that was.
Very cool. How about you, Russ?
I'm Russell. I do WordPress support. I'm in Las Vegas, and I'm just a fan of WordPress.
Very nice. How about you, Say?
I was tweeting. Sorry. My name is Say Reed, and I do all sorts of things with WordPress, talk about WordPress, teach people WordPress, make WordPress, love WordPress, eat WordPress, sleep WordPress.
And participate in the neighborhood app.
And participate in Nextdoor app. And you can find me on all the things at Say Reed Media. Tweet me, baby, one more time. Bring it.
How about you, Steve?
Wow. Why do I always have to follow Say? Damn alphabetical order. I am Zehngut. I am the founder of Zeek Interactive, and I run the OC WordPress meetup, and we will be meeting tonight.
Nice. Hey, Steve, look, your last name starts with a Z. We go by the first name here. You finally get to benefit. It's great.
I'm used to being last, so it's nice.
Same here with T, man. It sucks. How about you, Suzette?
Hello, everybody. I'm Suzette Franck, and I am a front-end developer at WebDevStudios, and I blog at SuzetteFranck.com, and I like WordPress.
Nice.
I like WordPress. Yes, I do.
I'm Jason Tucker. You can find me on Twitter, Jason Tucker, and I blog all about audio and video stuff at wpmedia.pro. So, Suzette, this topic is all about you.
Yay!
All right, I'm out of here.
Suzette brought on this topic. She was like, "This sounds like a great one. I'd love to, talk a little bit about modifying WordPress themes and just doing small modifications just to make big impact." Right, Suzette?
Yes. This is based off a project that I'm working on, and it's actually multi-site. So I wanted to find the best way to make quick modifications to multi-site. But then this is also a topic at one of the more recent SoCal WordPress themes or meetups, where we talked about how to make simple custom CSS modifications and different ways to do that. I got some notes. Let's see.
Somebody has some notes?
You're actually organized for the water cooler?
What the hell?
What is going on here?
Research?
That actually may cause a rift in the space-time continuum.
I know.
I'm so confused. What's going on?
What I think funny is we've done 105 episodes of this, and finally somebody says, "I have notes."
I thought about it. I thought about some things that I could say.
Well, one thing I know that I wanted to make sure was mentioned, according to my notes here, was that you make sure or you determine if this is code that needs to be portable or not, whether you can save it to the database or you have to save it to a theme file. So I was thinking that was one thing that you should definitely consider.
What happened to the word simple in this topic?
For our audience, what's the difference?
So if you use Edit CSS or Jetpack like Edit CSS or Simple Custom CSS and add that to your theme, it will load the style sheet in after your theme files. But it's saving those modifications to the database, so when you go to migrate that, those settings are not transferred over. So if it's going to be something that you're going to be migrating later, you might want to keep that in mind and then maybe go with a child theme instead, because that allows your code to be more portable, and you can take that same code and put it on different sites.
I found a new plugin that I hadn't seen before that is a child theme creator. So within the admin,
what's it called?
I will find out probably.
One-click child theme? Is it one-click child theme? Because that one's kind of old. It hasn't been updated in over 2 years.
No, it is the Orbeus. Or B.
All right, that's easy for you to say. I think it's Orbisius.
Orbistius. Does that have some sort of like Greek meaning? Am I like saying something dirty?
I don't know. I don't know who names their technologies, but this
technology has problems.
This one's better than grunt or gulp. So
one track mind. One track mind.
No.
You grunt and gulp your bourbon.
Anyway, it's called Orbistius because I think what you just said, Suzette, is actually really important because even if you're, sometimes when I'm developing themes for clients at the SBDC, I'm not developing themes, configuring themes, and maybe do a little tiny customization, like for example, the widgets. I have no idea why the damn default title widget is like, 2 feet from the actual text of the widget. Have you anyone noticed that? And think
2
it's
feet?
the most annoying thing on the planet. Yes,
That's what I say.
I measured.
2 feet is actually 290 pixels.
Okay, wow.
I don't think that's true. I don't think that's accurate. Wait, let me get my pixel calculator. I'm doing the math in my head.
Steve, it is way better for you if you just say that is correct. Okay,
Right,
you need
that
to
is
just
correct.
go with that. 2 feet, 290. You'll be in the clear. Anyway, now all I'm thinking about is pixels.
Here, say I'll help you out. How many? Is it about this?
All right. Anyway, the point is if you go in there, just use your edit CSS through Jetpack or whatever, just to tighten up that leading a little bit on the title and whatever. But then if you switch themes, you lose that, and even if you go back to that theme, you lose it also. So I find that super duper annoying. Of course, I always just copy it into some Scratch folder when I'm doing that. But in order to prevent that the child theming thing that you're talking about, Suzette, I think is a really great point.
But somebody actually brought up another good way to do it without doing a child theme is you could actually make a plugin that just enqueues a style sheet as another way.
Wait,
and
who can make a plugin that enqueues a style sheet?
I
The
can.
clients or you can?
I can.
You can.
I
But
can.
can the audience?
Oh, I know, that's
I
so
can do
easy.
that too.
You
So
actually make a plugin.
Natalie and Russell raised their hands. So
I can do it.
if you need that done, hire them.
Yeah.
And not to mention, I would do it with jQuery. I'm just saying.
But here's the thing. So
I'm
if you're
personally-
enqueuing a style
I'm
sheet,
with, Ruby on Rails. Is that a problem?
we're going into
You
back-end
just have to
development,
include
right?
Python with
Go
it.
on, Say. I'm sorry. Go on. I'm just filling time.
I heard Python. It's 2 feet. I'm just lost it. I have nothing left.
Go on.
It's over. You
Actually,
killed it.
Hey,
the thing that we've come across lately is a lot of like customized or third-party themes are not including PHP blog info in the header, and that actually messes up your theme when you install something like Yoast SEO.
Wait, why would they do that?
They're using a custom function inside, like the theme does its own SEO, and they don't want you to use the plugin, or they want you to use the theme SEO, so they create their own function, and then somebody jumps on YouTube and sees Yoast is the best way to go, and then their theme breaks.
I think that theme developers who do that are lame and should be shunned.
Be what?
Shunned.
Did you
Shunned.
say?
You said shunned.
Shunned. Oh, okay.
Oh,
That's way different than what I heard.
Shunned.
That's not what I
By the way,
heard.
just on the side note of shunned, I just know we need to like put Charlie the Unicorn around. It needs to do the rounds again. I've been thinking about old memes. That one needs to come around. I'm gonna post that today. Okay.
okay.
Shun the non-believer. Shun.
I heard Sharknado. That's what I heard.
Shun. Let's go to Charlie Mountain. No, Candy Mountain, not Charlie Mountain. That's different.
So Russa, I've seen that problem happen.
Pixel Mountain.
I've seen that problem happen where they don't actually filter that hook and to make the changes. So then it just it breaks everything.
Well, I mean, like in one aspect, it's smart because if you just want a theme that does it all, it's a great way to get started. But if you
don't want a theme that does it all because there's no portability with that. You can't upgrade for that, and then you're just stuck. And
I'm definitely not arguing that, but what I'm saying is like the way that WordPress was marketed in some ways was that you can do it all in the theme, and then you get somebody who's like, I want to take it upon myself to learn, and they jump on YouTube, and now it's all gone. So
who markets WordPress as being all in the theme?
I've never heard it marketed that way.
All I do is rail against that in everything that I do. Like literally, half of my talk at WordCamp LAX was about how that's shouldn't be.
Oh, well, I agree. That's what my WordCamp talk in Reno was, that it should all be in a plugin, not in a theme.
So let's not encourage that or even express that that's a thing, and shun those people, again, more shunning, and encourage them not to. If you have a theme, here's my opinion, if you have a theme that does all that stuff, ditch it. Okay, I'm done.
How do I know that I have a theme
Like
that does all that stuff?
Yeah, how do you know that?
Yeah, if I'm just a normal user, how do I know?
Well, basically the way that I describe it to my clients and in my classes is that the theme is all about how things look, and the plugins are all about what stuff does. So the theme should not ever do anything like slide something or show you something. The theme should just be styles and looks and colors and layout, and that is pretty much it. And that's what I teach people. So I would like to,
I don't want to get too techie here, but isn't that changing a little bit now that the customizer is in place? A lot of these things are kind of moving back into the theme now that WordPress wants us to put things into the customizer.
First of all, I have seen so much stuff go into the customizer now. Themes are changing kind of rapidly into the customizer, which is super exciting.
I write my blog posts in the customizer.
As you should. Yeah. For our audience, that's not a good idea.
What plugin? I have never seen that type of functionality in the customizer ever.
I stopped using Photoshop, and I just crop all my images at the customizer.
I'm just saying there's been trends. There's been trends to go put all your functions in a plugin, keep all your functions in a theme, put some here, some there. So it changes.
Well, I'm not saying functions like functions, the PHP file functions. I'm saying functions like functionality functions. Different functions.
I don't understand the difference.
Well, what is a file and holds? Okay, technically they're the same, but when I'm talking about functions, I'm talking about functionality, like the word and stuff that it does, as opposed to functions.php.
Okay, all right. You missed the .php part. Now I understand.
I'm always a fan of putting everything...
What was the topic today?
Yeah, what are we talking about?
I know.
The advanced
Russ, go ahead.
I'm always a fan of putting everything into a plugin just in case for whatever core breaks, or if a theme manipulates the customizer, it's all in the plugin, it's all in my database. I can't go wrong with that.
So I want to hear from Suzette from her notes, because just get back on track here.
Back to Suzette's notes.
Back on the rails.
What do you have that you could teach us that might actually be something other than rampant speculation?
Wait, what was the question?
What's on your notes?
What the hell?
On my notes.
What's point number 2?
Point number 2. Well, my point number 2, let's see what I put. Oh
my God! This may be
points.
one of our worst shows.
Oh,
I'm going to declare that right now.
Oh, my fault. It's so terrible.
It's not your fault at all.
Some different ways to make simple modifications to your theme, and one of them was using Edit CSS and Jetpack, or using simple custom CSS was another solution. But those save those to the database. So what Say was suggesting is that we use did you ever find the name of that child theme? Oh wait, it was that weird Latin name.
Orpheus.
Or Orpheus.
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 It's like the Matrix.
And then
I think they just made that word up, by the way.
Go on,
think
Suzette.
it's like a real... That's all I got. I just wanted to make sure this.
That was all your notes?
That was all my notes.
Nice.
You don't take very good notes.
No, I have lots of notes. They don't make any sense, and they're doodles.
It's just doodles. That's what I was going to say. You just have drawings everywhere. You like.
It's like every other word is
girls.
It's awesome.
All right, so I'm curious here. Okay.
All right.
There's something you said a few times here that you don't do certain things a certain way because when you change your theme, it's going to go away. how often do people change their theme?
Not very often.
I mean, really, should our audience be worried about that?
It depends on where they're at. Like, if they're a starter, for example, like with my clients, I start them on a super basic theme, and then 6 months to a year after they've gotten the hang of it, then I, counsel them to move to a premium theme or something like that, or at least start off on a simple premium theme. But especially for small businesses that are starting, a lot changes in that first time. You don't really know what you're trying to get out of your website before you start it until it's going and it's running, and then a year later or so, you're like, okay, well, I actually need this and this, and I need it to look like this. So I think people should change themes like they change their phones. So like every year to 2 years, you change out.
I'm not sure. Well, I think it depends on the site, because none of I've never changed a theme for any of my clients.
But you design their sites.
I do.
So they're custom themes. They're not just out there getting themes.
Are you building the theme as a child theme to something else, or are you doing not at all? Okay. Well, see, here's the thing: is that if you don't do that, then the functions that are built into that are going to be essentially like landlocked, and they're not going to be updated in any way after that. So if you have deprecated functions that are in there, they're not going to get updated.
Right.
So using our best friend Genesis, or using something like that where you're building off of a child theme, then you end up kind of benefiting from that a little bit.
Yeah, like that's one of the benefits of using underscores.
Well,
as a
not really.
Well, I guess
though.
you're not supposed to use it as a child theme.
It's not. It's actually,
actually one of the forget what I just said.
It's one of the problems
Totally
with
wrong.
underscores, because once you make an underscores theme, you're taking that snapshot in time. That's it, and it never updates itself.
I actually never make child themes, so I don't even know what I'm talking about.
Well, here's the thing, though. No, that brings up a great point, though. That I don't think anyone's ever really talked about. That is, why does something like why is something like that theme, why does that theme exist, or that theme generator exist, if it's not generating something that can be kind of upgraded from? It's just like you're essentially building just this one snapshot theme with all that functionality thing and everything all built into it, and you're not actually going to have some type of like core, theme that's going to be updated.
I think child themes are brilliant. I think we should use them more for specifically that reason.
But child themes are only as good as the amount of customization that you do too.
It's all genetics.
Well, it is, but it's not just that too, because that's where like template parts exist. So that way you're not having like the entire file be updated. You're only updating just a part of that file.
Can we move on to another point? Or are we still talking about this?
Yes, of course.
I don't know. Do you have some notes?
I have notes. These are my notes from the WordCamp LAX after party. Nacho bar. Mushrooms? Or maybe that's not from the camp party. Never mind. Okay.
That's not your bar.
That's funny. So one of the things that I've recently been exploring and talking about in my talks are these this relatively new trend at this point of plugins that do modifications for style. Like, for example, Thrive, which is a premium plugin that you install, and you can make buttons and columns and all of this stuff, and it lives in the plugin instead of in the theme, so you could change themes all you want, and you'll still have your fancy schmancy columns and that type of stuff. And there's a Visual Builder and Velocity Page by V. Mark Jakewith, and
did you say it was called Thrive?
Thrive, yes.
Okay.
Thrive Content Builder, which is really interestingly built. I've discovered this whole world within Thrive of this guy who's like a super marketer, and his name's Shane or Sean or something, and he has all these videos, and he has squeeze pages for his themes and stuff with videos on top. You must watch this now. It'll change everything. And I usually hate that stuff. But he has an accent.
Yeah, wow.
So I'm
he has an accent. That's all that needs to happen is he have an accent. She buys everything off of infomercials. It's awesome.
So sad. Oh, it's really sad. But anyway, so he's got a really interesting ecosystem happening over there. But I've actually played a lot with Thrive lately for my various talks, and it's actually pretty cool to use. Barley is another one of those on-page, kind of editors that does stuff that, you know, it's not in short code. You're looking at it and you get to design it. So that's a way, because I think the theme is really just the shell. You know, it's just the basic layout. And I think a lot of the times what people are wanting is ways to manipulate their content, like to put things in columns and to put buttons and things like that. And I think that is kind of dangerous to use short codes from within a theme, because then if you change your theme, not only do you lose your content, but you've got these like crazy weird short codes all in there, you know?
Yeah.
Yep.
But you can also have short codes collide with one another too. So if you have a theme that has something,
short codes collide.
It's true. I mean, you can have a short code that does one thing, and then you can have, but that's in a plugin, and you can have the other one that's in the actual theme itself. And if they're using the exact same names, then it can blow up in your face too.
Yeah, if they're using like the same class, or like if they're both using like a data type set from like Modernizer, that could really mess things up.
Yeah, it's usually
Oh my
columns.
gosh,
People
totally
just use the word
did
column,
make
and it's
sense.
like, good job.
Yeah, that's actually really frustrating.
Okay, so for the developers out there, name your functions, the name of the plugin first, and then underscore the name of what you want it to do. I'm sorry.
Jetpack. Jetpack.
Hey,
Sorry.
we have
It's something in my
jetpack.
throat.
We have jetpack friends that participate on this on the water cooler. So.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
specifically
if you're
talking
gonna
to
make fun
them,
of them,
George.
if you're gonna make fun of George, you need to at least have him on the show. Then you can.
They're all in Utah skydiving right now, so really I'm okay with that.
Why would you jump out of a perfectly good airplane?
That's a great point. I had actually had a client who was really confused about the whole .com.org thing, and we'd only had like a really brief meeting, and so she was like, thought she was, you know, taking initiative and awesomeness, and went all on .com, and she came in and she's like, they're on vacation, and I was like, what's on vacation? And I didn't even know she was talking about .com. I thought she was talking about the software, and I was like, what are you saying? I don't know what words you're using. It's like not possible for it to leave. And I finally figured out she was talking about the support at WordPress.com. They have like a message up that says, sorry, we're all at a meeting. You can't use for this week.
Did you
Russell,
tell
you
her
brought up
to contact support at yourface.com?
Yeah.
Russell, you brought up a good thing in our little inner chat here, talking about pods. Yeah. You know. So talk a little bit about that. How would that help somebody that's trying to do very small changes to their theme?
Well, like a lot of themes are already set in their ways. They only echo out like the title and the blog area, and like that's about it. With pods, again, it stores it inside of the plugin and not in the theme.
Somebody just walked behind you.
Yeah, I have ghosts. I'm just saying.
And Steve has ADD, so we're good. It's fine.
Luke, there he goes again. Nice.
But so the pods plugin lets you create like custom content types, like taxonomies, custom post types, meta fields, stuff like that, and easy changes like that can be integrated from a plugin, but that can still be used in your theme. That helps save a lot of time on the development side. When you switch themes out, but you want to like replace that field here, it's easy to echo that out, and you don't have to like rebuild it again.
I haven't even looked at this plugin. What does it actually do?
It creates custom post types, taxonomies, like meta fields, crazy kind of stuff like that, but it's all free.
So it's competitive with something like types and views.
Yeah,
would be one of its
I don't
competitors.
think that DIY folks out there, if there are, I don't really know who is our audience really, but
Well, that's
the
the thing
DIY
about-
people out there, like, I think that's taking it to the next level of confusion. Like
So
when we
here's
say
the
things
thing
like,
that,
"Oh, it's so easy, just create some custom post types and change your meta boxes," and they're like,
Sure,
I'm
but
going to
here's the
Wix,
thing they'll
and they
say is
run
that
to
people
Wix.
go on Google and they do Google searches and they're like, all I want to do is make my text for my for the actual title of the post be all capital letters. How do I do that? And so they'll go on Google and they'll type in WordPress capital letters title, and then there's somebody who's talking about a CSS mod. There's somebody else that's talking about something that they can use to change the string within
you can use
within
jQuery, yeah.
So there's all sorts of stuff like that. So,
Yeah.
even though the target audience could be like, our parents, it could also be somebody who's, that's, knows how to do WordPress a little bit more.
Knows what functions.php file is.
Yeah, and so one of the posts, or one of the things I was going to share with you guys is there's this plugin called Functionality. They'll actually generate a plugin that uses kind of like a replacement for functions.php, but it'll work that's on the actual WordPress site versus, as a plugin versus something that's within the theme.
What's that one called?
That one's called Functionality.
Oh, cool. I'm going to check that out. That sounds really interesting.
There's a couple...
Is that the same one that, or the same thing that Bill Erickson did, where it, creates a core that you do? Is it the same thing?
It's like that, but it's
creates
not.
Creates a core that you do? Can we elaborate on that sentence?
No, that's actually my bumper sticker, so no, I'm not going to elaborate.
The core that you do. Did core.
No,
I know which one you're talking about, the core functionality plugin by Bill Erickson. Yeah. His post is a little old, but I'll share that in our show notes here, so you guys can take a look at it. But he's built one that's listed within the repo that you can check out.
So, do you use the functionality plugin a lot? Like, what's your experience with it?
I don't use a lot because I just go in there and create my own functionality plugin. So I wouldn't use something like this. But if you're not familiar enough with how to add a couple lines of code to the top of a PHP file and put it in its own folder, this thing will spin one of those up for you.
I think that it's really interesting how there's that gap. It's like you either know how to do it or you don't know how to do it, and you're looking for a plugin. But sometimes the plugins are even just as complicated as knowing how to do it.
Natalie, I have a question for you.
Okay.
When you're doing your own jQuery, are you enqueuing a script or do you put it in a plugin? What is your common preference?
Well, it depends on what it is. If it's something that's really specific to the theme, then I'll just enqueue a script in the theme. If it's something that I'm building, like a special kind of slideshow that presumably they'd want to carry over if they change themes, then I'll build a plugin and enqueue the script in the plugin.
Makes sense. Well, it really comes down to portability. So if you're going to use that plugin again, maybe, or if you just want to make it so that functionality is not tied to that particular theme, then that works out for you too.
Or
it does.
Never change your theme.
Or never change your theme.
That's terrible advice for anybody. That's terrible advice.
I mean, back to that question of how often you should change your theme, which sounds so much like how often should you change your underwear for some reason.
Once a week.
Yeah, right.
What's underwear?
Well, you do live in Vegas now, so there's that.
Tree boy.
I think it's important, with especially the quickness, the turnover of trends and design these days. I think it is important to keep your theme updated, especially for small businesses, because 2 years ago design can, unless it's really well done and just super classic, it can look dated, especially if you for example, if now you're jumping on the parallax, one-pager nonsense that's happening.
And flat design.
Flat design. In 2 years, that's going to look super lame. I mean, it just is. I mean, it already does. But it will also more in 2 years. Not that I have an opinion.
Already kind of super lame.
It is already kind of super lame. It was super lame 2 years ago.
Already kind of super cliche.
And
I'm just not a fan of the one-page parallax. I know some people are, but I've always been a fan of multi-template kind of themes instead of one page, because a lot of the parallax themes that you see, you create the page and then they have their own admin panels, and some theme admin panels are just bonkers, man. It takes days to figure them.
Yeah, it's harder to figure out the options panel than it is to I could just build this. This would be so much easier than trying to figure out where you put the logo uploader. What?
Well, it would help. It would help if it wasn't all in French. That's for sure.
Oh, right. I did want to point out one thing. There are a lot of
on that note.
There are a lot of themes
that's about it for
use
today.
The DIY builders in the themes. So they use the plugin that's bundled into the theme, and they say, oh, you can have unlimited numbers of pages, and I think that that's just a bunch of blue
Say's
coffee.
headphones cut out. I don't think she can hear us anymore.
Yeah,
I know.
so that's about it for today. Make sure you go to our website at wpwatercooler.com and check us out there. You can also subscribe to us at all of the things. Lastly,
We love you, we're sorry.
I love this. I love this topic of the shelf life of a theme. So I'm actually going to start up a little hashtag of theme shelf life. Use that hashtag and tell us how long you think a theme should actually.
How about hashtag change your theme?
No.
All right,
that
fine,
won't
we'll
work.
go with yours. Never mind.
All right, folks. Thank you very much for being on. Talk to you later.
Hashtag theme shelf life.
Bye.